Our last method for solving quadratic equations is called the quadratic formula. And this is also a formula you may have heard of before. If not, it is something that you really need to know. We talk about the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so our a, our b, and our c are our coefficients that we're used to seeing. So in this particular problem, I have x squared plus 3x minus 1 equals 0. And then we just plug in our values into the formula, and then if we need to, we will use our calculator. So x equals minus b. Oh, and by the way, this minus b over 2a, you should recognize that as the formula for the vertex. So x equals minus b minus 3 plus or minus the square root of b squared, 3 squared minus 4 times a times c. I've put a 1 in for a and a negative 1 in for c, and that is all over 2 times a. Now it's a matter of arithmetic. 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 1. You can put that into your calculator. That would be 9. And then negative 4 times 1 times negative 1 is a 4. So 9 plus 4 is 13 over 2. So our solutions would be x equals negative 3 plus the square root of 13 over 2. And negative 3 minus the square root of 13 over 2. Now I know I'm finished because 13 is a prime number. The only factors of 13 are 1 and 13. Therefore, I can't simplify that radical. Okay, let's use the quadratic formula and solve our next problem. X squared plus 10x plus 74 equals 0. And again, I will go ahead and write my quadratic formula down. My a is 1, my b is 10, and my c is 74. So x equals minus b would be minus 10 plus or minus the square root of b squared, 10 squared, minus 4 times a is 1 times c is 74, all over 2 times 1. Okay, so I'm going to work underneath the square root, and I'm just going to punch that into my calculator. So what I'll do is put my 10 in parentheses and square it. Minus 4 times 1, and I'm just using the parentheses just like in my handwritten portion. And I get negative 196. Now at this point we know that this is an imaginary solution because we have a negative number under the radical. That tells me if I were to graph this, I would not have any x-intercepts. Now, let's continue on. I need to deal with this 196. So go to your calculator and take the square root of 196. And that actually happens to be 14 times 14. So I can rewrite the square root of negative 196 as 14i. And then my final solution, I would divide a 2 out of each of these terms and end up with -5 plus or minus 7i as my solutions. And that could be written as -5 plus 7i and -5 minus 7i. Those are the algebraic solutions. For the graphic solution, you would see that you do not have any x-intercepts.